Again, we want to thank you for our Lifevantage presentation we've bringing to you today, and trusting that the rest is going to go just smoothly. Thank you very much. This is our disclaimer for today, but let's go ahead and start with my personal story and just tell a little bit about our Lifevantage journey. 10 years ago, I had a friend of mine who is a pastor. He had acute fibromyalgia. In fact, it was so acute that there were times where he was not able to even get out of bed and come to some events that we would be having and so forth. And one day I hadn't seen him for a while. We met for lunch, and he began to tell me that he could no longer claim medical disability because of a product that he took. And that product, he said for me to go and watch an ABC primetime investigative report. And if you're on today and you have not seen that investigative report yet, make sure that the person invited here can show you that, because it is a game changer when you see it, knowing that national TV ended up actually, not actually, I wouldn't say it's an endorsement, but I would say they told our story of the profound effect that our product has. And so with that, when we saw that, my wife and I, we said, wow, this is the first time we had ever heard of the term oxidative stress, which you're going to learn here if you hadn't already learned it. But we said, if this is, we don't understand it all, but if this is true, the science is real, what we're seeing, then this could be really big. And so with that time, we are, of course, we've been in the ministry for 40 years. And at that time we said, well, maybe this is an opportunity for us to, rather than having to rely on fundraising for our own income, perhaps what we could do is actually go into business for the first time in our adult lives and see if that would create the income, and we would give back our salaries to our nonprofit. So that's exactly what we did. We committed to doing the business, sharing this great product, and telling the story of lives being changed. And with that, in 13 months, we were able to give back our salaries to our nonprofit organization. So it's been a huge home run for us, a win-win, because we're out changing people's lives, both physically and financially. And of course, it's changed our life in as well. So it's been huge. And of course, we're very grateful. And hopefully tonight, you'll also be able to be on track to be able to tell your story, your own Lifevantage story. So with that, let's begin to talk about oxidative stress. That's what we talked about in the past. What is oxidative stress? Well, actually, it comes about rather by just the natural process of living, our physiology of eating and drinking, working out or not working out, So quite frankly, so it's just from going through life and so forth, those as we digest our foods and so forth, then it brings about what we call free radicals. And it's kind of like you can think about an exhaust from a car, it's spitting out the bad stuff and so forth. Well, that's how we do is we consume food and we exercise and we go through life. And also oxidative stress happens from the atmosphere and whatever. Then what happens is that, we have some of that exhaust taking place in our lives, and it's called free radicals. And you can see what happens is that through the free radical damage, our bodies get oxidized. So oxidative stress is literally like, as you can see in this apple, as it browns very quickly once it's cut open, it's really a rusting from the inside out. And that oxidative stress affects, as you can see on this chart, it affects our eyes, our lungs, our skin. Of course, just about every aspect of our functioning as within our bodies. And if we go to there's a National Institute of Health, and we're going to refer to this later, but it's called PubMed.gov. And just to let you know how big oxidative stress is that if you type in the term oxidative stress on the National Institute of Health, you'll see over 200,000. Yes, 200,000 studies relating to oxidative stress and certain disease states. And you can put in oxidative stress, diabetes, oxidative stress, fibromyalgia, oxidative stress, cancer, and you'll see in the tens of thousands in the thousands and so forth, in the hundreds, depending on what disease it is. But it is at the very center of why we disease, age, and die. So when you can deal with oxidative stress, then you're dealing and you're eliminating, if you will, the very core reason of why we disease, age, and die. And that's very, very important. And so how do we get started down this track of being finally able to deal with oxidative stress? Is because there was a scientist by the name of Joe McCord. And some years ago, he discovered an enzyme called superoxide dismutase. Now, the job of this enzyme is to eliminate free radicals. Remember, it's the free radicals that causes oxidative stress. And so he saw that this superoxide dismutase, this particular enzyme, would eliminate the free radicals. And that was its job. However, he noted that those very enzymes, they slow down and they stop working. And so that very enzyme and then a number of others like catalase and glutathione and so on, which we'll discuss in a minute. But the key was then, how can we get those enzymes to go back to work? As we grow old, they slow down and stop working. How can we activate them once again? And Dr. McCord and, of course, the labs there that he worked with, they tried a number of different things. And they finally used 5 herbs and he put those herbs together, and they work synergistically. And in having a synergistic effect of where they then are able to penetrate the cell and activate your God-given enzymes to go back to work. And so now for that, Dr. Joe McCord won this thing called the Elliott Cresson Award. And that award is given to people like the Wright brothers for their development, of course, of the airplane and flight. Henry Ford, the automobile. Alexander Graham Bell for the telephone and communications. So do you think he's in some pretty good company? Absolutely. So this then is for the area of course, activating the enzymes. And so that's so important, you see, because up to now, there hasn't been a real solution to oxidative stress. So the real process of our aging takes place where as we grow old, these enzymes slow down and stop working. And so what happens is those free radicals, the reason why they're free radicals is because now there's nothing hindering them. There's nothing eliminating them. So they are free to do the relentless damage to our bodies every day. And of course, again, that relentless damage becomes oxidative stress. And that relentless damage, in other words, becomes cancer and diabetes and heart disease and so on. So what we have been using up to now, we've been using antioxidants. That's right. Vitamin C and vitamin E and berries and different things. But we found that they're not good enough tools, as even quoted by Dr. Joe McCord, because they work on a one-to-one basis and then they're done. For every one antioxidant molecule it produces, it'll take on one free radical and then it's finished. But what happens through our product, Protandim, when it penetrates the cell and from a cellular level, we're able to activate these enzymes. When those enzymes get turned on, they act just like they did when you were in your teens. Well, how is that? That they were taking on up to 1 million free radicals every second of every day. And so that's why this doesn't just, think about this, guys, that the antioxidant industry is like a $30 billion industry. And we have something that works literally millions of times better than what's out there in the market today. And the reason why it's so important is because understand that our bodies are made up of over 30 trillion cells and who are producing these free radicals. So a one-to-one will never get it done. As was told about, that it's like as if your life is like your house is on fire, your life being your house, and it is on fire with free radicals. But just say your house is on fire and the fire department comes and they give you a glass of water. It's going to save grandma's pitcher, but it's not going to really do much good for you in your house, right? Now, though, that fire department pulls up and man, it's like it's got all these fire hoses through Protandim, and now it's really putting on the water onto that house and saving the house. That's an analogy of what we would call with Protandim. So Protandim as I mentioned, these 5 herbs: ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, milk thistle, and turmeric. And now don't get all worked up about the individual ingredients, because our product has 8 patents on it. That's right, 8 patents. And so this, as you can see here, and you don't patent an herb, or you don't patent a banana. And so the patent is because of the synergistic effect, where it goes through and penetrates the cells through a protein called NRF2 that's within our cells. And then again, it sends that signal to the enzymes to go back to work. And again, when they go back to work, they work just like they did when you're teens. And when they start eliminating 1 million free radicals every second of every day, what happens is the result of that is your oxidative stress level gets lowered up to 40% in just 30 days. Now, that's huge, because there's no other product that is scientifically validated to do that on the planet. Remember that it's oxidative stress is at the very center of several hundred diseases. It's the core reason why we disease, age, and die. And if you can lower that 40%, buddy, you're bringing a lot of good health to a lot of people. Now, don't take my word for it, because you can see here is that we've got 28 peer-reviewed university studies: LSU, Ohio State, Harvard Medical, University of Florida, University of Colorado, Denver, and so forth. All these have been there. The study at the University of Colorado, Denver, they took people from 18 years old to 78 years old. They put them on, they took their blood, measured their oxidative stress level, then put them on the product, and then found that they really couldn't even tell the difference between the 18-year-old and the 78-year-old. Why? Because when those enzymes go to work, again, they work just like they did when you were younger. And so you can see here, this is real science, guys. Peer-reviewed studies. That's what all the physicians, when they go to PubMed, they're looking for peer-reviewed, and they're looking, did it enter into any journals? And here you have 20, entries into various journals that you can see here. So this is huge credibility, guys. It's not just us talking. It's not just the anecdotals. There's a ton of it out there, though, about lives being transformed through our product, but it's also the real science. And now, on top of that, our line of products, we talk about the same technology, again, bringing health from a cellular level. And now, so you have the NRF pathway, and we use that very same pathway for what we call NRF1 protandem. And what that does is that it also made up of herbs, but what it does is it penetrates the cell, and it actually helps to repair and to grow the mitochondria, which is the energy base in your cell. So important, guys, because you think about it, that energy base needs to happen and needs to help continue to be repaired and grow, because that heart of yours, it's been like mine. I'm 65 years old. My heart and my lungs and my brain has been going for 65 years. And so it needs that energy. And then the third component there that makes up the tri-synergizing pack that we have is where the NAD is so important, because the sirtuins are which is the proteins that are necessary to helping manage our cell. You guys have all seen a dysfunctional home or dysfunctional restaurant. Oh my goodness, it's terrible, right? It's so chaotic. You don't know who's paying, who's waiting on the tables, who's supposed to be taking the orders, and so on. It's just a mess. Well, that's kind of how our, when our cells are within our cells, if it's not managed properly, then it creates dysfunction in our bodies. And so the NAD does that. Now, the great thing is when you combine all 3 of these, that individually, of course, they have great results, but when they're combined together, remember that one marker I want to remind you about, lowers oxidative stress by an average of 40%. When these 3 are combined and used, it goes up to 70%, which is very exciting. So again, that's our tri-synergizer. And then you can see the whole Lifevantage family of products that you can see here and we're going to talk about some of them. And, from skin care to hair care to our energy drink and so forth, our weight management, our pro and our prebiotic and what have you, all of them are there. And that you want to encourage you to, again, based on the same kind of technology and NRF2 activation, you want to get with the person that invited you to this presentation and talk about more of that. But the key about all of our products is that they're clean. There's an app called Think Dirty, and I love this app. You guys can play with it, have fun with it. But download the app Think Dirty, and what it does, you can take products that are within your home, plug them into this app, and then they'll let you know how toxic they are. All right. And 0, 1, and 2 are like you got some really super clean products. And of course, the worst is 10. So 0, 1, 2, that's really good. 10, that's bad news. Get rid of it. Right. So all of our products are from 0 to 2, all of them. That's great. So take them and compare them, with the products you currently have there, and you'll see that. And so that's a really a key thing, because if we're gonna, whatever we put on our body and inside of us, that's obviously going to affect our health. But you can see here with our skincare, we're the only skincare with NRF2 activation. So we have a whole skincare beauty system here, but it's not only just for your face and your beauty, but it's also for you can see where people have been using it for other areas. Wrinkles, you can see this gal here at the top right, at the wrinkles, this eczema, the psoriasis, burns, and what have you. Even we've personally experienced a gal who had a unique kind of like poison ivy. The itch wouldn't stop. Within a minute of applying the True Science skincare, it stopped, even though when nothing else would work. So then you have also the hair care. Again, NRF2 activation, look, the fullness of the hair. And so our whole hair care system helps bring fuller hair, helps bring hair growth, and just, of course, just looks so much better. My dad was he died at 53, but he was even bald at, really balding at 53. My granddad was bald. And so this has really helped my hair to remain, to stop the balding and to remain and to look full. So I'm very excited about it. And now the next thing is that what I'm passionate about some of the other products is our energy drink Axio. And this is just a quick testimony of a 9-year-old who was taking Protandim and then the Axio as well. And you can see it was helping him with his ADHD, couldn't focus and so forth. Of course, this with the quercetin and so forth, this helps with mental focus. And you can see here on the left-hand side where he's having really difficult in spelling. And then on the right-hand side, writing out his words, they're really perfect. They're really clear. And so that's just one of the benefits, even with children, of our products. Now, I know you're looking at, you're going like, man, this is really great. Well, how does all this happen? Is from a business standpoint, really, this is all about just telling a story. The good thing is that you might have gone to see a good movie, read a good book and so forth, and you're going to tell people about it. But guess what? That publisher is not going to pay you. And that movie theater is not going to pay you. Universal Studios is not going to pay you for going out there and telling people about it. But guess what? We're going to pay you. We're going to pay you just for sharing about these products. That's right. And so let me tell you about our great company, again, called Lifevantage. Our company is publicly traded on the NASDAQ. And there you can see LFVN is the symbol there. And so you can, as a publicly traded company, it's guided by the Security Exchange Commission. In other words, we have a higher bar, that we're held to than most network marketing companies. Out of the 1,500 network marketing companies, there's only 12 that are publicly traded. We're one of the 12, and we're one of the youngest of the 12. To note. And so you can see back in 2009, we became into the network marketing industry, and we went from 3 million in sales to over 200 million in sales. And now we're about to just go to the next plateau, which I'm going to share with you in just a second. And of course, we're debt free. Imagine that. Isn't that a good thing to be debt free, right? Owing no one. And we're in 26 countries with a tremendous, a very experienced management within the industry. And as you can see here, the great thing about this, I talk about this is like a COVID-free business. But, you can do it right out of your home, which most of us did in the last year or so. And but it's where there's no boundaries on you. You set your own limits. There's no boss. And and you're in an industry that, by the way, is $240 billion industry. So it's not something, it's a worldwide industry that's taking place. And again, you can set your own flexible hours and be your own boss, and you determine what you make. That's the whole key about that. And so obviously those are the kind of things that are trending right now. So where you can be involved, by the way, through that home from your home, you can be involved in 26 countries as soon as you enroll in Lifevantage. Isn't that great? So let's answer some of these questions. How much is it? How do I get my investment back? And so forth. How do I make continue to make money or make the big money? How much money can you make? And so let's answer some of those questions right now. Number one is that you have two packs. You have the Premier Pack, and you can see the number of products. There are a good many products here that you're going to get for a $300. This is something we say, well, this is what I can afford right now, and so I can get on board with most of the products and get my foot in the door and begin to go to work. And of course, you got about $200 savings with that one. Now, with every pack that you buy, you get your own replicated website that comes up immediately. And of course, the other thing you get a great team, including myself, to help you to be successful in the business. Then the Elite Pack, you can see you get all the products. So you can become a product of the product, all the products in the company, plus some. And with that, though, you also get a whole year's training. And we're going to go into that when we talk about the system, but that includes convention and so forth. That is over $1,000 where you get all the training for free. And so that's a savings of about $1,000 when you join the Elite Pack and say, these are for people that says, you know what, I see this, I get it, I'm there, I want to go full on. But think about it, guys, $1,000 to go into business, right? I mean, that's really nothing. I mean, compared to the brick and mortar kind of business that people are typically going into. And so now let's talk about, as we talked about, okay, this is what it costs to get in. Now let's talk about how you get your money back fast. Number one is that regardless of whether it be a customer or distributor that you would enroll, you're going to make a 40% commission. That's huge. And by the way, that could go, I won't go into it, but that can actually go up to 60%. 40 to 60% on a commission as a one-time basis, and that comes right to you. The next day you'll see it in your back office, on your website. You'll see your commission come in, and so that's really exciting. Now, so the way to get your money back is, say, let's you came in the Platinum Pack, the Elite Pack. When you enroll 3 other people in that same package, whether it be the Premier or the Elite, you enroll 3 other people in that same package, then you will make your money back and then some. So think about that. Now that those 3 could come in within the first week or the first month. There is no time limit on it when you do it. But the fact of the matter is, you enroll 3, you get your return on your investment. Think about that if you've been involved with your typical brick and mortar. It's a 2-year plus process before you can really get the return on your initial investment. Now let's talk about, now that you got your money back, now let's talk about the big money, the royalty commission. This is one out of the 6 bonuses that we have here on Lifevantage, but this is so powerful. And I'm going to show you how this works. So as you'll see here, we have the levels here. We call this the Elvis bonus. In other words, Elvis, he did the work one time. He sang the song. He did the movie. And even in his death now, his foundation continues to make the money, right? That's the kind of, you want to get that mailbox money. So this is what we want to do. That residual income is what we're talking about. So if you were to get 5 distributors, all right, and that's what we're going to encourage you to help you to do. You're going to get 5 distributors, and those 5 distributors, you can see with all the product that we have, not too hard to imagine that they're going to be on $200 worth of product a month. So 5 times 200 is 1,000. 1,000 at 2% of the first level is $20. I said that's not very much money, but that's your first level. It's $20, and hey, we'll all take that as mailbox money coming in every month, won't we? $20, absolutely. But the real key is that you got your first team of 5, and now we're going to come alongside those 5 and help them to do what you did. What did you do? You got 5, and now we're going to help them to get 5. So now they become 25, all at $200. That's $5,000 worth of product coming through your center. and now they're going to pay you at 5% or give you a check for $250. If that replication were to continue, the 25 get 5, now you're at 125 distributors getting $200 worth of product every month. And now you're at $25,000 worth of product coming through your center. And now the company's going to pay you 9% on the third level. Now they're sending you a check for $2,250 that month. But wait, it actually gets better. Not only are they're going to give you the third level, but they combine all the levels. So the 20, the 250, $2,520, or basically on an annual basis, that's $30,000 a year. And check this out. You're at the third level of one bonus and you're making 30 grand. Okay. How many levels are there? There are 9 levels and 6 more levels to go. You're at 30,000 on the third level. Let's just, for grins, let's do one more level. If we go to the fourth level, the 125 get 5. Now you have 625 distributors who are getting $200 worth of product every month. And now the company's going to send you 6,250. And yes, add up the other levels to make a total of $8,770, or a 6-figure income. And you're only at the fourth level out of 9 levels. And you're only doing it on one bonus out of the total of 6 that is offered by the company. Isn't that huge? So there's where the big money is. How does that result in? Well, again, I told you we're guided by the Security Exchange Commission. So this is what it looks like when you add up all the bonuses and so forth. Here, as you can see in the second column, I want to note it's in bold, but the average monthly income of distributors. Our distributors go from distributor to executive master pro 10, where of course, obviously they're making over $1 million a year in this business, which we thank God for that. But you can see, especially in the middle ranks, Pro 4 is like $1,500. Pro 5 is nearly $3,000. And so that's the middle ranks here. Now that's obviously replaceable income for a lot of people. And then you get into the elite status, you get into Pro 7, and that's, you begin to be where you're making $100,000 a year, over anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And then of course we're Pro 8s in the business, and you can see that's an incredible amount of money as ministers. We never thought we'd see that kind of money, but we're so grateful that we've been able to achieve that. And our goal is to help you to become successful. And that's what I love about the network marketing industry, because we're talking about, a system. What I love about the network marketing is that as I invest in you and in your success, that's going to help create my success. So it's not about like a dog eat dog, step on the guy ahead of you, climb the ladder, and so forth. No. This is about, hey, we're going to help you to achieve what you want to do. So we come alongside you. We've got some tools. We have the one-on-one training, and we use something called the ITT, which is a 3-step process of helping you to launch your business. We use a launch guide, and this is where we sit down one-on-one and we go through that. We talk about your goals and how then we create a plan on how you can achieve those goals. And then we also have, of course, our app. And from our app, you can do all the business right from your cell phone. Isn't that powerful? So a lot of things where you can communicate with your prospects and distributors and so forth, just right from your app. So it's a fantastic tool. Now, as I mentioned, we have one-on-one training, and then we have virtual training, of course, in these days. But then we also have regional and we have our global convention, which is taking place now in October 14th and 15th. 7th through 9th, rather, 7th through 9th. So you're going to have so many ways to plug in, to be trained. You're not going to be out there orphaned. You're going to get the help that you want. So, and it's a system whereby everybody can do it if you'll just follow the system. Be humble, be teachable, and we're going to help you make some great money. So next is, of course, is the timing. You can have the right product and have everything, but is the timing right? And the answer is absolutely yes. This is an S curve that's put out by Peter Drucker, who's known as the father of modern management. And guys, what he talks about is basically the history of successful companies and how they start out and so forth. And as you can see, is right down here in the left-hand corner, where companies just start out, and as they begin to grow, they come to a place called critical mass. And that's where basically you're hitting right where we're at right now, about 200 million in sales and about 70,000 distributors. We're just a little bit less than that. And so, but right at that point is the point where the company is about to take off into what they call in the life of the company, the momentum period. And during that momentum period is when they experience 80% of the growth of the company. Now, think about it. If we're at 200 million now and we experience that 80% growth, we'll be a $1 billion company. And you are in the right place at the right time, because that's where you want to be. You want to be down here, at the bottom, and grow with the company to being a $1 billion company. So you're still early, even though we're 10 years old. We've been able to work out all the kinks and so forth. And you know what? Guess what? And we're now ready to explode, and you can be a part of that explosion. So we want to encourage you, as we share with you today, about our fantastic products, the company, the trends, the system, the timing, and the compensation. Guys, it's all there for us. This is the components. We're checking out on every one of these components that make up a good business decision. We hope you decide to join us in our business. And if not, we understand that sometimes the business isn't for everybody, but the products are, because everybody has oxidative stress. So we hope that you will get with the person that invited you to this presentation, and that you would get with them and share with them any questions you might have, and help, and they'll help you. We'll help you. Give us a call. We'll help you and guide you to being successful in Lifevantage. So we thank you so much. Looking forward to working with you in the future. God bless you and have a great night.